Satnam, Satnam Yogis and Yoginis, hello and welcome to the stream. There will be people connecting as we are starting the stream, and let us tune in. If you're watching this recorded, then know that I am streaming every week now. That's my idea, to start streaming every day, not every day, every week for the moment. 1 week I stream in the afternoons, 1 week I stream in the mornings, and this week is in the afternoons. And when I speak about afternoons and mornings, this is European time. So if you wish to catch me, you know, you have a chance in either 1 week or the next, depending on where you are in the globe. But yeah, so today is this time. I think this is a good time for me. So around this time, when I will be streaming in the afternoons, it will be around this time. And I don't know, I'll start with 1 or 2 streams per week, and then we will see where we go from that. But so if you are tuning in live, thank you for being here. And let's start by just chanting a little bit. I feel like chanting a mantra. So the last course I was doing in the channel was on the Mool Mantra. And I guided a few meditations on that, explained how to meditate on that, but we were going so slowly through every one of the words from the Mool Mantra, we didn't really meditate much on the whole mantra by itself. So how about we start by chanting that, just to tune in and to get together. And so let me share the page. This Mool Mantra is written a little bit more for Spanish speakers, so some of the sounds will not be exactly the way you would pronounce them if you were speaking English. Wait, I need to get the last line. So like Nirver, this is how we would pronounce it as a Spanish person, but if you're English, maybe this sounds, you would write it AY maybe, something like that. I've seen it written in many ways. At the end of the day, the important thing is how it sounds. So I will just be chanting it, and then you can chant along with me, and we can tune in to the frequency, the vibration. This is the Mool Mantra, and in the Mool Mantra course, I talk about how this mantra was created by Guru Nanak, and it was really his enlightenment. It was the moment he got enlightened, and as he came back, he communicated this is what he heard, this is what he received from God in some way. And so the interesting thing about the Mool Mantra is that you can read it in many ways. One of them is like, this is the creation of the universe, and this is like a sort of description of what God is, some of the like divine qualities. And as you go into every one of these qualities or principles, you can extract from it some meaning of what kind of things could we cultivate in our life. And if you cultivate Kartapurak, or if you cultivate Nirbhav, what does that mean for me as a human being? Not as a divine being, as a human being, right? And so what happens is that if you live your life according to some principles, to these principles, and you live aligned with them, then you start to develop in yourself the virtues that they come alongside these principles. So meditating on the Mool Mantra, chanting the Mool Mantra, that's a way to start to bring down these virtues into our lives, into ourselves. Now so one way to read it, I mentioned, is like to say this is the description of the qualities of God. Another way to read this is these are the principles to which we can align ourselves with, and they are going to develop our virtues. And another thing we can read this is energetically. There is as you are chanting these sounds, there is a rising in the spine of energy going up to the heart, and then slowly higher, going to the top, to the crown, and out of the crown, then we go down and back into the heart. So by the way we come to Nanak Hosi Visaj, the energy goes back into the heart. So you could be reflecting upon this and vibrating it as you are chanting the mantra. Just feel this vibration of energy going up to the crown and then down into the heart. So let's try this. Let's just chant it a few times. Let's tune in to this sound. Hydrate yourself if you need it. And if you can close your eyes, then that's wonderful. If you cannot, don't do it. I often say if you are driving or something, don't, be mindful of what you do, because meditating, chanting on a mantra can put you in a meditative state, and meditating, you can be distracted from the mundane material world. So be careful with that. But if you can take some minutes off and just close your eyes, then I invite you to do it. So let's start. I will put the page in front. Yeah. body, mind, and spirit. They are all connected through our breath. So let's start by inhaling deep. And exhale. Inhale deep. And exhale. And inhale to chant. Ek Onkar Satanam Karta Purak Nirbho Nirvair Akal Murat Ajuni Saibhangur Parasa Japa Adi Sach Jugad Sach He Bhi Sach Nanak Hose Bhi Sach Ek Onkar Satanam Karta Purak Nirbho Nirvair Akal Murat Ajuni Saibhangur Prasad Jap Ad Sach Jugad Sach He Bhi Sach Nanak Hose Bhi Sach Ek Onkar Satanam Karta Purak Nirbho Nirvair Akal Murat Ajuni Saibhangur Prasad Jap Ad Sach Jugat Sach He Bhi Sach Nanak Hose Bhi Sach Ek Onkar Satanam Karta Purak Nirbho Nirvair Akal Murat Ajuni Saibhangur Prasad Jap Ad Sach Jugad Sach He Bhi Sach Nanak Hose Bhi Sach Ek Onkar Satanam Karta Purak Nirbho Nirvair Akal Murat Ajuni Saibhangur Prasad Jap Ad Sach Jugad Sach He Bhi Sach Nanak Hose Bhi Sach Ek Onkar Satanam Karta Purak Nirbho Nirvair Akal Murat Ajuni Saibhangur Parasad Jap Ad Sach Jugad Sach He Bhi Sach Nanak Hose Bhi Sach Ek Onkar Satanam Karta Purak Nirbho Nirvair Akal Murat Ajuni Saibhangur Prasad Jap Ad Sach Jugad Sach He Bhi Sach Nanak Hose Bhi Sach Ek Onkar Satanam Karta Purak Nirbho Nirvair Akal Murat Ajuni Saibhangur Prasad Jap Ad Sach, Jugad Sach, Hebi Sach, Nanak Hosi Bi Sach. Ek Onkar Satanam Karta Parak Nirbho Nirvairakal Murat Ajuni Sebhang Gur Prasad Japa Ad Sach Jugad Sach Hebi Sach Nanak Hosi Bi Sach Ek Onkar Satanam Karta Purak Nirbho Nirvairakal Murat Ajuni Sebhangur Prasad Jap Hat Sach Yugat Sach Hebi Sach Nanak Hosi Bi Sach Ek Onkar Satanam Karta Purak Nirbho Nirvairakal Murat Ajuni Sebhangur Prasad Jap At Sach Yugat Sach Hebi Sach Nanak Hosi Bi Sach. Satnam. Hello everyone who has connected during the time that I was chanting. And you can say Satnam, hello, in the chat. Oh yes, let me do the chat a bit bigger so we can see. There we go. Satnam Amita, welcome. Amita, what does your name mean? What does it mean? I wonder. I feel like it has some meaning, some spiritual meaning. I would like to know the meaning of that. The root ama, yeah, that sounds in Spanish sounds like love. Amar, that's to love. So it sounds an Indian name, but I guess it. I always like to see the sounds in different languages to see how they impact us. Amita, amma. It sounds like love. But mam, amma, maybe mother, may be connected to that as well. I wonder if you know, just write it in the comments. Anybody else, if you want to just say hello to everyone, you can just say hello. So I was just chanting the Mul Mantra and I noticed means unbound. Oh, I see. Because I is negation, so unbound. Right. How do you live that unboundness? Is that a sense of freedom? Does it bring you a sense of freedom? How do you live that? Interesting, because it's unbound means like that you have been binded and then you are unbound. So it's like there has been like a release in some way, right? So very interesting. We are bounded by so many things in life, from our own beliefs and our own ego. Saddam, hello, GIY. It's like DIY, but GIY. I wonder if it's God in yourself, or instead of do it yourself. Is it God in yourself? Okay, I'm playing around with your names today. Don't get offended with that. And just I love names. I think there is something very special there. So I was chanting this Mul Mantra, and I realized as I was chanting it that I wasn't respecting one of the pillars of mantra chanting. So I will just share that while you are starting to settle and then say hello. And you can write anything in the chat. You can ask questions. You can suggest topics to talk about. I love to improvise, and I will take any topic dimension, and we'll just roll with it and see where it goes, where it takes us. So let's see where it goes. I have been watching your video for some time. You speak to my soul. Thank you for sharing your light. Thank you. Wairu. Yeah, sharing my light. You know, for a while, for some years, I was having these words in my head that were vibrating. Yeah, sometimes we have this, like a call from your soul, right? Something that is telling you to do something, and it's time to grow, time to glow. Yeah, time to grow, time to glow, time to shine. This kind of sayings you can have. You know, you can be in a meditation and a phrase comes to you, and it may have like a call, like a direction of where your life should be going. I think my doing these videos in YouTube is part of that, because I've taught yoga for a number of years, but in small classes, in small groups, in regular, like in a yoga center, my own school. And then slowly I became a teacher trainer, so I collaborate with other trainings, other schools, and I go and teach trainings, but it's a small Sangat and small groups, like, I don't know, anything from 0 to 40 people, right? While here YouTube, you have much more projection. So my idea is, I've been studying yoga for many years and science, and I like to put them together, and numbers. So why not share it to the wider community? So I think, this sharing our light, I think it's, in a way, is my light, but it's also the light shining through me, and I allow myself to shine these teachings to become a light that shines, and I'm just a vehicle for that, which means also that, I'm here to talk and to meditate and chant with you. So if you want to touch some particular topic, you just have to ask for it, because that's when, I can access whatever I know, and then you can access whatever you know, and you can share in the chat, and I share what I know. And I'm having some very interesting conversations with people in the comments from the YouTube videos, and I'm learning a lot. And I think this is what it means, to be in Sangat. We all share our light, and it becomes the light, and a delightful experience. So anyway, let's continue sharing. And so let's go back to what I was saying. There is 3 pillars in mantra chanting. And if you don't propose any topic, I will just go on. I will just start rambling on with my own things. So mantra chanting has 3 pillars. It's like rhythm, pronunciation, and projection. And it's not necessarily in this order. The 3 are similarly important: rhythm, pronunciation, and projection. And while I was chanting the Mul Mantra, I noticed I was changing the rhythm quite a lot, which, when our intention is to set up some meditative state, we may want to hold that rhythm constantly. That's why, Kirtan is so, it's like the easiest way to meditate, because in Kirtan you have the music and it's holding the rhythm, and there's a group of people who are chanting all together, so we are in the Sangat. And, when we are in a Sangat, we tune into the frequency of the one who is the highest. So, today maybe you are not as high, but somebody else can bring you up. So you are tuning into that frequency. And when there is no music and there is no drums and things like that, then it's just your own voice. And today I was allowing myself to go much deeper into the vibration itself. So I was more in the pronunciation and the projection and less in the rhythm. And that's fine. I mean, that was my intention for today. I was doing it consciously in that particular way. But just to mention, if you want to practice the mantra by yourself, you may want to set up a rhythm and keep it. If you want to enter into a meditative state, it's easier if you have the rhythm and you create some sort of hypnosis. Because the mind, the ego mind, is hypnotizing our consciousness, and we get trapped into it. And to get out of that hypnosis, it requires a different hypnosis. And the rhythm creates that. So these are the 3 pillars of mantra chanting. And I explore pronunciation quite a lot in the mantra course that I did in the channel, but I didn't explore much the rhythm. Maybe because I'm not an expert in rhythm, and even when we are chanting in Sangat, it's always challenging for me to take the drums. But this is something very, very valuable. Rhythm in general. So Amita, you are asking, how did you start? How did I start on this path? Well, my family are yogis, and a joke I sometimes like to do is that to say that I started the path in the toilet because when you are little, when you're a child, and in your house, all the books you have are on spiritual stuff, spiritual and strange things, spiritual things, but spirituality and spiritism and other strange things like that. So esoteric stuff. So that would be the library in my house. My parents love these books and they would buy so many. And so, when you're a little child and you want to go to toilet to do number two, right? So you take a book from the bookcase and then just go into the toilet. And I would be in the toilet looking at these incredible books with these strange postures and these words, Sanskrit strange words, and these saying these really weird things, and everything was fascinating and exotic, and at the same time, and I don't know, hypnotizing as well. No, so how did I start the path in the toilet? But yeah, I mean, seeing my father do yoga in the mornings when I would wake up, and my mother, she would be doing her meditations in the evening and her prayers, and this was my upbringing. Then, my sister she's also a great yogi. I think she brought Kundalini yoga to my life, so I'm very, very grateful to her for that. And but when she was younger, she was more into spirits, more than spiritual. So I remember her doing the Ouija board, and things like that. So that was how I kind of started. But then I went as far away as I could from the spiritual life and became a scientist. And it was not so long ago, when it was in the year 2002, actually, 21 years now, less than half of my life. So that's when I re-encountered yoga. So after the adolescence, when I went away from that, I came back to it, and then it's become my passion ever since. So that's how but I started through mantra yoga, and then slowly went into a little bit of Hatha, a little bit of Kundalini, and wanting to know more about yogas in general. But yeah, my passion is in numbers, numerology, it's in mantras, mantra yoga, and just anything that has to do with yoga in general. So I love yogic philosophy. So that's why, I ask, say anything in the chat, just ask any question, and I will just, explore it. And if I don't know about it, then even the better. That's better, because then I will have a chance to explore something I don't know. That's what happens when you are in a group of friends and you all know each other and you all know all the same stories and the same topics that you like. It becomes boring. You are not growing, because it's like you confirm each other what you like, and so you stick to what you like, and you never explore anything else outside of your zone of comfort, your comfort zone. So, for me, it's an opportunity to be here in YouTube, open myself and, be ready to discuss any topic and be uncomfortable. That's, I hope so. Uncomfortable, it means that you're getting out of your comfort zone, and that's always a possibility to learn. So, I like discomfort in that way. So, I was talking about the Mul Mantra a little bit, and I mentioned how we can just recite it like that, like we just did at the beginning, Ekonkar Satnam, like that. That's a recitation. I'll just mention a few other ways that we can use a mantra to meditate. On the last live stream I was doing, we talked about different mantra routines that we could do during the day, or every day, let's say, how could we, through mantras, develop our own practice. And so maybe I thought today, maybe talk about different ways to use one particular mantra. Take just one mantra and explore it in many different ways and meditate in many different ways. So I don't know, it's just what's coming to me right now. So let's talk about that. So the first one would be just this: recite the mantra and meditate upon the sound and see how the sign is vibrating within you. And I suggested that the Mul mantra was going upwards towards the heavens, towards the crown, and then down towards the heart and stabilizing in the heart. So that's one thing. I am at work, will return in a few minutes, did not want to miss her live. I wanted to say hello, hello Amita, and thank you for dropping by and writing in the chat. I appreciate that. And yeah, do whatever you have to do, and feel free to leave it in the background or come back whenever you are free, or just watch it in the review. So yeah, sat down. Thank you for dropping by. So the first one would be reciting the first way that I mentioned, and I don't say it in a particular order, so it's not that one is more important than another. Another way to meditate on the sound of a mantra is to sing the mantra with some particular music. The song can open the heart, and chanting mantras, like any yogic practice, it has two components. It has a Shakti and a Bhakti, right? There's the Shakti. Shakti is the... Traditionally, we call it the power, because it's Shakti, Kundalini Shakti. But we could say that Shakti is also like the technique, is the technology. It's the how to do it, and how to do it correctly. And the way you're pronouncing it, and the way you're chanting, and maybe the mudra that you're using, and the drishti, and all these elements which are technical aspects of the meditation, that's what's going to empower the sound. So that power aspect is linked to the technique, and for that there's many techniques. That's the Shakti. And Bhakti is about devotion, and that's about the heart, and it's love. Yeah. So if you just go into the technique and you forget about the heart, then it becomes very insipid. And frankly, I think very boring. Even if you are feeling like you are doing some progress at some point, because, the mantras have an effect, even like postures, they will have an effect. You do the yogic kriyas, the asanas, and you're going to feel more energy, you're going to feel your chakras being more purified and more powerful, which is also, be careful with that, right? Because if you don't deal with your issues and you just become more powerful, let's say you mess up more powerfully as well, right? So if you are not aware of how you err in life, I don't want to use the word err because that's like error, yeah? That's like a mistake, like something wrong. But how let's say we create karma. Let's put it that way. Our karmic habits and our karmic patterns, our karmic behaviors that are going to be creating karma. Now, if we don't deal with that from a conscious and philosophical way and possibly ethical way, when we develop our power through Shakti, then you are going to create more karma more powerfully, basically. So, all right. Okay, so that's be careful with Shakti in some way. It's telling us, no? On the other way, if we just do Bhakti, devotion, and open our heart and love and service, it's a beautiful path, but you can be a little bit weak as well. Like your heart gets strong, but your navel gets weak. And people start taking advantage of you, and you may feel like maybe you are very generous, but you are always running out of money, and you're lacking your own stability in yourself, in your life, in the most stable things, the most basic material things in life. So devotion, just chanting the mantra, it's a beautiful path, but in a way it's like it lacks the other ingredient. And I believe, like in many things in life, like Buddha said, the middle path is always the best, right? So it's not about Shakti, it's not about Bhakti, but it's a combination of both. And so it's good to explore in our mantra chanting, what is the right combination of one and the other, of Shakti and Bhakti. So this is all, coming back to where I was, which is that we can just sing a mantra melodically, find a melody and sing it, and it's very beautiful, and it will open more the heart. So that will be more into the bhakti part, right? The chant I did at the beginning, the way we opened this session, that was more into the Shakti. So that was more, I put my heart in it. So there was my own devotion was there. But I was very, very aware of the vibration and the experience of the vibrations in that moment. I wasn't trying to expand my heart and open my love. I wasn't doing that. I was concentrating on the vibration. So what kind of intention do you put on your practice is going to be have an effect as well. So you can just recite the mantra, or you can sing the mantra. And singing, you can do it with a melody that you find, in the internet. There is many, many melodies. There's beautiful musicians out there. YouTube is filled with beautiful music. And why not? It will change the atmosphere in your home. It will dispel bad energy in your thoughts. And it's beautiful for your heart. So that's a lovely thing to do. And I think also a lovely thing to do is to invent your own melody, especially if you have some artistic inclination, is it said? Is it called like that? Like you have some tendencies, artistic tendencies. You're an artist, and you can improvise with your own voice, and then you can create your own music. So I would suggest that if we are chanting melodically, we would sometimes chant a known melody that maybe many people chanted, but also at some point I would suggest that we improvise something else. I think there's something powerful in both. When we improvise by ourselves, we are touching upon our own creativity, and that's going to awaken that energy in us, and that's very fulfilling, and it feels great to utilize our own creativity. And when we are, and it's our own voice, so it's ourselves, it's an expression of ourselves, so that's wonderful. And when we are using the sound from somebody else, some sound, some music that has been tried and tested in some way, we could say that melody is very powerful as well. And this is a topic I haven't explored at all. And maybe there's some musicians who listen to this, and you can bring your own, your 5 cents on the topic, and which is that different melodies are going to have different impacts on us. I mean, look at the ragas in India, right? Every raga has a particular mood, a particular emotion, and it's a spiritual aspect to that. If you look at the Sri Guru Granth Sahib, the holy book for the Sikhs, every Shabad, every poem, it says in which raga should it be chanted. So, and this is not a random thing. This is not like, oh, let's put this music, because whatever is coming afterwards, it's going to be immersed in the vibration of that raga. So if you are good with music and you have this sensitivity for the moods and the spiritual space that you create through a particular melody, you can also go into that, and you can create your own if you have that sensitivity. But otherwise, you can just chant those which are tried and tested, and benefit from that. So, for example, if we take a mantra like Om Namah Shivaya, and there's been probably millions of yogis and yoginis chanting in a particular way, maybe, let's say, Om Namah Shivaya, 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 Om Namo Narayanaya, 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 Om Namo Shivaya. Okay. I would not stop. I need, but we are chatting, so a part of me wants to carry on, and a part of me says like, wait, don't go so deep. That's what happens with mantras. Maybe we will come back to Om Namah Shivaya. It's a mantra that I love, and this particular tune, I mean, probably millions of people have chanted this tune. I'm not sure whether it comes from the Shivananda lineage, or maybe it's even older than Shivananda's, Swami Shivananda, from the Bihar School of Yoga. And it's really powerful, and it works. So chanting it in a particular way, it works. And but maybe there is some other music that it has a stronger impact on you, or maybe you like how you've heard it sung by some other singer, and you want to explore a different one. But that's what I mean. Some melodies are going to be more powerful than others. And I believe if a billion people has chanted the same melody in some way, I don't even know how it works, but I believe in magic. So in some sort of like the psychic field of the planet, let's say, or the electromagnetic field of the planet, somehow there is the memory of a million people, a million human beings chanting Om Namah Shivaya in that way. And when we are chanting it, we are tuning into that, and we are calling upon that archetypal melody, we could even say, and we are tuning into that, and we are channeling that in our lives in some way. It's a funny story. This Om Namah Shivaya, this particular melody, I remember my father came back home one day because he was in the very first yoga school that was in Mallorca. Mallorca is a little island in the Mediterranean Sea, if you don't know it. Beautiful island, beautiful place. And that was the first yoga school that appeared there. My father started as a student, and I remember the day he came home very excited and said, today we did mantras. And he started chanting these mantras. I was a little boy, maybe 6 years old. I was maybe 7. But I clearly remember for the following weeks being in class absolutely bored out of my bones, if you can say that. It was like mathematics, and at that time it was difficult for teachers. My teacher had 40-something students, and I was in the back row. So you can imagine 40 kids in their desks. They had to be still because otherwise it's too much noise. And so there was a lot of control to set up so that people would be quiet. And there I was absolutely bored, doing something I already knew how to do. But, the teacher has to repeat it until everybody gets it. And we are 40 of us. So I was in the back row, and I was in myself. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, with the inner chanting, right? And I was like, Om Namah Shivaya. And I remember looking at the teacher inside of myself, reciting the mantra, not caring about what's happening outside. And and I think that was my best education that I got. I'm sorry for the teacher. I'm sure they did a good effort. But it wasn't a climate that it was like, it wasn't a situation that it was easy for a teacher to get the best out of their students. But reciting aloud or inside is very, very powerful. Chanting with a particular melody, it's very powerful. Again, outside or inside. Now, when you chant, what's the difference between chanting aloud and chanting inside? Nobody asked, but I asked. The difference is in some way none, because you are vibrating anyway. I remember when my mantra teacher would be asked that question, he said, a heater can be noisy or it can be silent, but it can be hot anyway. Yeah, so you don't need to do noise to heat up the space. And I I totally relate to that. I think, the constant vibration of the mantra within has a total impact on yourself, and you don't need to be chanting it outside. But I always like to see both sides of the coin. So, however, the Sanskrit alphabet is designed and created in such a way that when you are creating the sounds, when you are making the sounds, the tip of your upper palate is the tip of your tongue is contacting the upper palate, stimulating the meridians which go to the hypothalamus, and from the hypothalamus sends a signal to the pituitary, to the pineal. All these science of mantra yoga. If you want to know more about this, I did a whole course on that. So, I keep doing publicity of my own courses. It's all in YouTube. It's all for free. You can just go and watch it. But the thing is, when you are actually chanting the words and the tongue is touching those points, then those signals are being activated. If you are just chanting internally, you are receiving the benefits of the mantra internally, but you are not creating this connection. So as much as you can, chant aloud, as much as it's possible. And, I chant in the car all the time, and at home when I'm not bothering anyone, right? So it is a good practice to chant aloud, but I wanted to leave the door open as well. Chanting inside is also recommended. So we already have three things, reciting, we have singing melodiously, and we have silently repeating the mantra within. And that repetition could be also with a melody or not. You can chant with a melody in your head or not, or you can just chant rhythmically. If you chant it rhythmically, inside, within, then we have a subcategory. Maybe we can do a chart of the different kinds of meditations with sound that we can do. It will be an interesting exercise. Haven't done that before. But if you chant it inside, in silence outside, chanting it inside, then there's something else that you can do. Because you are not chanting aloud, you don't have to check how you are breathing, right? Because when we are chanting aloud, we are exhaling. We're exhaling to produce the sound. And when we are chanting inside, we don't have to make sure that we have air to continue chanting, which means that we can chant during the inhale and during the exhale. And so you can use the mantra, the vibration of the mantra within, and for example, chant one mul mantra when you inhale, one mul mantra holding, one mul mantra exhale, one mul mantra within, or one Om Namah Shivaya, or 4 Om Namah Shivayas, or 1 Taratutare to the Swaha, or whatever mantra that you feel like chanting, but putting it into your breath in a particular way. The more conscious you are of your breath, because breath is the thing that you can do consciously of all the autonomous functions of the body. We cannot control our digestion at will. I cannot say, go start your digestion right now. Okay, now stop it. Okay, now increase your blood pressure, now decrease it. I mean, you cannot do that. Well, most people cannot, all right? Some yogis and yoginis can do it, but most people cannot. Now, out of all the autonomous functions, the breathing is the one that we can do consciously. Therefore, through the breath, we stimulate consciousness, right? We do it consciously, so we stimulate consciousness. So by linking your breath to the mantra, that's going to awaken your consciousness, and that's going to permeate the consciousness with the mantra, which means that your mantra is going to be vibrating in the different layers of the consciousness, going into the deeper layers, particularly the subconscious and maybe even the unconscious, and start cleaning whatever garbage we have accumulated there. So let's see some comments in the Adi mantra. Feels really good. Vibrations. Yes, Adi mantra. Adi mantra is the Om Namo Gurudev Namo that we sometimes chant. And this is another one that I mentioned. There is a particular melody to chant it, which is, Om Namo Gurudev Namo. And that Gurudev, that's a minor third. It would be different. Gurudev Namo. It would be different, right? Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Om Namo Gurudev Namo. Sounds very different, right? So Adi mantra, particularly, we would have this minor third it's important for what the mantra is doing. The Om is calling to our longing, to our sadness. And this is how we start the meditation or the practice, because most people who come to yoga, they come to yoga because they want to be more happy and they feel sad. And in yoga we say, well, don't throw the sadness away, take it and utilize it to nurture, from emotion to devotion. Your heart can be nurtured from the sadness that comes. It's from the longing that you start doing yoga. So the longing and the sadness are connected to this Om, and it's a long Om Namo. And so the minor third is a tune that is very associated with sadness. We don't have ragas in the Western music. We have just majors and minor and other variations. But traditionally, we would say that the minor scale is more sad, more sad than the major scale. So by having the minor third, for those who know music, then Adi Mantra is putting in tune with your sadness, and out of that sadness moving it into, Guru Dev, finding light in the darkness, and Dev, divine, yeah? Namo. So we are going into the darkness, Gu, and then find the light, Ru, yeah, Guru Dev. So Om Namo, calling to my darkness, calling to my sadness, let me find light within. That would be the mystical translation of what's happening when we are chanting that. And the other comment, how would you recommend evolving daily sadhana practice? Keep adding mantras and kriyas to already many pranayams and asanas. Feel benefits from all, but time becomes a challenge. Right. Well, isn't it? Time. I would say, if we just do just chanting the alphabet, the Sanskrit alphabet, like I recommended in the last video I did, that's already charging a lot your physical body. However, unless you have some particular, you are blessed in some way, that some particular blessing that you have, unless it is the case, all of us need something physical as well. So just the mantra practice and the meditation would leave us wanting for something stronger in the body, because this is the body we have to incarnate, and this is the body where the energy has to move through, and so it's good to relate to it. So yes, I agree, we need some asana, we need pranayama, and pranayama, it's just an extension of prana, so it can be in many ways. It doesn't have to be like chanting in a way is kind of like a pranayama, because you are regulating your breath to chant mantras. Not exactly, but it's very connected to the pranayamas. But yes, a combination of asana, pranayama, mantra, meditation, this is it. This is what the perfect formula, right? This is how we recommend that this is the ideal of a sadhana. Now, we have the ideal and then we have the real, what we can do. Now, how much can we do in our lives? Particularly in the yoga that I practice, which is, we call it the yoga of the householder, because we don't recommend anyone to become an ascetic to practice yoga. We believe that everyone can benefit from yoga, and you can have family and kids and a work, and you have to sustain your family, you have to earn money, you have to have a job, and well, how much time is left? I have two little girls, two daughters, and I could very much leave that tension between family, healthy relationship to the family and family life, and personal practice. And I would have to get up very early in the morning to be able to do my practice before preparing breakfast, right? So for the family. So it can end up that you are sleeping very few hours, and that's not healthy. It's not good for, at least not in a long time scenario. It's not, you cannot sustain that for too long. And there's things that you can do from yoga to help you when you are, suffering from sleep deprivation. But this is not the ideal. The ideal is to find a balance with all. So, things get better as the children get older. But everybody has things to do. So whatever your situation is, if time becomes a challenge, then it's not about finding time to do yoga. It's about doing yoga throughout the time. So it's not about finding a moment in your life that you can take a break to have your yoga session, but it's how to bring yoga into your life anytime, any moment. So you don't do a break. Actually, I don't believe in breaks. Why do we have to do a break in ourselves, to separate, this is me as a yogi and this is me in my life? Cannot we be natural in all of it and be as natural when we are doing yoga as when we are in the real life, outside world? If we do yoga as an escape, as a little break in my life, then it's like a holidays. Okay, you are fine. At least you are not creating karma during that time, but then you come back from the break and all the problems are still there. So yoga is not designed to be like an escape, but it's designed to be, okay, I take my time to do a training to later apply what I learn into the rest of the time. So it's not like an escape. It's not like all the stress that I accumulated during the day. Okay, let me release it a little bit so I can go to sleep better. But it's actually, how can my practice help me when I am during the day? So when time becomes a challenge, this is the thing. Whatever you do, let's say you are a waitress. Can you be chanting mantras within? Can you be breathing consciously within? When you are not, holding the drinks, can you do a little mudra? Nobody knows that your fingers are like this, right? And they are on the side, and you're bringing the drinks to the table, but inside of yourself, you are Satanama, right? So, how much of yoga comes into my life? If I am relating to my coworkers, if I am relating to my boss, if I am writing an email, can I remind myself to be aligned? Can I call upon something deeper within to communicate? If I am having some interaction that is totally boring and I don't get anything out of that, then even more. Let's bring the yoga even more. Let's say you are in a meeting, one of these, staff meetings that are sometimes you may feel like, why are they talking about that? And why are they talking about that in front of everybody? This could be something private, but now they're discussing this and I have to be here and I have to lose 20 minutes because today is Monday and Mondays we have the meeting for the whole staff. Well, if you are there and you are bored, then you can take the opportunity to check your chakras and do some breath work to balance yourself, or maybe learn about them. How are they talking to each other? From which chakra are they speaking? Okay, so she is talking from the 6th chakra, but he is talking from the 3rd chakra. So how is that impacting the conversation between them? And how are they not communicating correctly? How could they improve that communication? How could they change that? And you can do that when you are speaking as well. You are speaking to someone. Are you conscious which chakra are you talking from? Are you conscious of the projection that you have? Are you speaking from the heart? Are you speaking from the 3rd eye? Are you speaking from my higher or something lower, from the 2nd or 1st? Which chakra are you communicating from? Depending on the message and depending of the person that you want to talk to, you may want to adjust these things. And so you are tuning into yourself, still being in the world, but this is yoga. This is doing yoga. There's no difference between this and doing asanas in some way, because you are doing yoga through your voice as you are speaking right at that moment. You can be conscious of what the other is projecting. You can be sensing how they are feeling. Yeah, if you neutralize your feelings within you and then connect to the other, as they are speaking, you can feel changes in yourself. So those changes in yourself are not necessarily yours. They are yours in the connection to them. So you can feel like, let's say you feel your own space within. And then there's some tension here, tension. How am I today? Today my shoulder is a little bit tense. My breathing is not fully deep. Okay. My back is a little bit painful. Okay. You feel everything. Now you neutralize everything. Okay. Let's neutralize my feeling with that and that. Let's not give more importance to this feeling or this feeling. Okay. When you get to an equalized state of neutrality, from this state, now I'm communicating. Now I'm at work, I'm in my job, talking to my coworker, and as I am talking to them, or you are in your family, you are talking to your husband or to your wife or to your children or to your mother, whatever, you're talking to your mother, and then from the neutral space, suddenly you feel a tension. Now, is that my tension? Or is that her tension? Or is the tension between us? So this is where bringing your awareness and your sensitivity can give you clarity into what's happening. And you can tell a lot about the other person by how you are feeling when you put yourself in relationship to them. This is the whole basis of many healing practices. Particularly, I'm thinking now, this is, where you learn to develop this, particularly Satsang, which is the healing practice that is associated with the Kundalini Yoga tradition. And in this Satsang, you would connect on that level. You equalize the space, neutralize the feeling. How am I? Neutralize everything now. Let's connect to the other. And what is happening in that connection, that's telling me something about the other one. And if I feel some sort of resistance, then I can just release it. And that's going to release some tension in our communication, in our relationship. That's yoga, right? That's not asanas. That maybe you are not doing postures, but that is yoga as well. If yoga is union, am I finding a union with that person? Is that an opportunity to unite myself with that person? Can we merge in some way? Can I find that Ekonkar, you and I, we are one and we are the same? And if we disagree, then, there is something else that we are not, that we are also agreeing. Even if we disagree about many things, we may feel other things that we are agreeing to. So can I tune into that? That's yoga, right? And that's kind of like a meditative state, trying to find the place where we both meet and we merge. And I bet if we go into conversations from that consciousness, the relationships change a lot. I bet, we would be surprised if we could hold this throughout the day, capable of, if we were capable of holding that state of consciousness constantly, that I am not just myself. This illusion that Maya put before my eyes, making me feel separate from the other. This is not true. I see the bottle, and I see it outside of my body, and I think, oh, this is not me, and this is separate. So I see another person, I see them outside of my body, and I say, oh, this is not me, we are separate. But this is false. If I close my eyes and I sense from within, at a deeper level, we are connected. We are both human beings, and we both have a soul, and we have a mind, and we have an ego, and we have many things which connect us. We have all our insecurities and our needs and the things that satisfy our needs and the things that we are looking for. Most people want to be good people in general, even if they don't do it in the best way. Most people do it from the good intentions. Can I relate to that part? Can I relate to that part which is that we share in common? So that's yoga as well. And so time becomes a challenge. Yes, if you are isolating the practice, like, okay, that hour or hour and a half or 2 hours, 2 hours and a half, whatever time I dedicate in my day for the yoga. But if you bring it into your life, it's been 24 hours, right? But without pressure, without tension, without feeling, okay, because what I just said can put people into a state of feeling ashamed or feeling critical with themselves, because we have a perfectionist brain sometimes, and we are very hard on ourselves, and we feel that if we have some particular ideal that we heard, the ideal sadhana is 30 minutes prayer and 1 hour of exercises, then 1 hour of chanting mantras, and then you have this idea of the best. Yes, good. Okay, that's a wonderful pattern, a wonderful model to follow. But if you just hold that model in front of you just to feel guilty for not doing it right, and then going outside in the street and feeling like a hypocrite because you are saying you do yoga but you're not following the model, or if I don't do that during the day, then what a terrible yogi or yogini I am. What am I doing? And even I would say, even if you manage to do the perfect ideal sadhana, out of that feeling of shame if you don't do it, of guilt, if I don't do it. So doing your sadhana out of shame and guilt, that's poisoning the sadhana. I would venture to say, and maybe I'll get into trouble for this, but I will venture to say that doing half an hour, even 20 minutes of pure, loving, heart, dedicated sadhana with your whole self is much more rewarding and much more beneficial in the long term than doing 2 hours and a half because you feel guilty because you didn't do the sadhana in the morning. I mean, it's controversial because at the same time, the ego wants to be lazy. So if you say, well, let's just do, let's do it 30 minutes, but very good 30 minutes. And then, the next day is 20 minutes and the next day is 10 minutes. And then you end up not doing sadhana at all. So it's very easy to go back into lazy mode. And we know, yoga is for everyone, except the lazy one. So we want to avoid falling into that. And for that, it requires discipline. And discipline is what is cultivate our sadhana. But at the same time, I would, I remember a time in my life when I was teaching yoga classes. And I was doing my sadhana out of guilt if I wasn't doing it. So not to feel guilty, I would be doing my sadhana. And I would feel like a hypocrite because I wasn't doing it perfectly. And at some point, I one day decided, okay, today I'm going to do 40-day sadhana. My sadhana is going to be not do sadhana and not feel guilty. So 40 days of not waking up in the morning to do my sadhana and not feeling guilty about it. And I tell you, that practice, that was really powerful. I learned a lot. I think guilt and shame are the worst mind games. These are the origin of many, many mind games, and they are pulling us down. Nirgun says, I joined a couple of minutes ago, and I must say that you are very wise, and I thank you for sharing this interesting and helpful information. Well, thank you very much, Nirgun. You are very, very welcome. Nirgunas, yeah? Nirgun, one of the qualities of God. Without gunas, he has no gunas. Yeah, it's beyond the gunas. Thank you. So, everyone else, if you join later the stream, just say hello. You can, write something in the chat. And you can ask any question. I am happy to go with the conversation wherever you want. If you have a doubt, if you have something that you were considering or something that you are not sure about, and just feel free to just write it in the chat. I would love for this space to be space of sharing, and this is the thing, there's some yin and yang, there's some goods and there's some bad, there's some pros and some cons, and being in YouTube has these two things. And YouTube and let's say social media, I don't really use social media that much. I just into YouTube. But on one side, because it's anonymous, it has created a space in which many people don't take responsibility for their words, and therefore they just get the worst out of them. They just throw it out there. The trolls and all this horrible behavior that we often see in the comments section of some YouTube video or in social media. It's so easy to go into that. And that's like the darkness, the polarity of the darkness of the anonymity of YouTube and social media. But the light side is also that because it's anonymous, then nobody knows who I am, and I feel free to ask anything I want. Like in this kind of context where we are right now, I'm not going to feel ashamed to ask something that may be very silly. And I'll never ask in my yoga class because they will think I am silly or that I should already know it. So this is the perfect space to talk about silly things. Let's have silly conversations and uncomfortable conversations. Yeah, this is. I enjoy uncomfortable conversations and silly conversations. Why not? I don't feel like we are wasting time, and this is what the space is for. So, welcome everyone to talk about whatever you want. All right, because there's nothing else in the chat, I will carry on with the topic for today. The topic for today, I didn't even know this was going to be the topic for today, but it's evolved into this. It's the different ways to meditate with mantras. And I already mentioned a number of them and went into detail of how we can recite mantras and with a particular pattern. We can sing the mantras with a particular melody. We can make up our own melody, or we can chant internally, silently, either with or without melody, with the rhythm. And if we are chanting internally, we can link it to our breath. So it becomes a pranayama and a mantra all together and a meditation, therefore. So you can do that. Another thing that you can do in this internal chanting, this is something I used to love to do when I was in public transport. So I would be sitting in the underground. I don't go into public transport that much right now. But before, I remember when I was teaching classes in a number of yoga centers, when I would come back home and I would be taking the train, I would be seeing all these people sitting in the train. And I was just looking at them. And one day this idea occurred to me, and then I started doing it every day, which is like, that guy over there, that looks like an interesting guy. Let me imagine how he would be in a retreat. Let's say we have been doing yoga for 3 days. He has been with us. And let me see, how would he dress as a yogi? Oh yeah, like that, yeah. So how would he sing? How is his voice? Oh, let's chant together. And inside of me I would be chanting a mantra. Apsahai hoa satsada satsadoa hara 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 Absaha, and I imagine him joining me, right? Everything is happening within. Absahai hoa satsada satsadoa hara hara hara. And then I would start creating this connection with the essence, the soul of this person who absolutely, I don't know anything about him, but Ekonkar. We are all one. So if we are one, can I chant with him inside myself? I wasn't staring at him, obviously, because otherwise I can imagine this going very badly nowadays with social media and people sharing videos and saying, oh, this guy is a creep. He doesn't stop staring me, right? So let's not be creeps. But I would check, I would see who's around me, and I would see somebody, and I would just start chanting with that person within me, yeah? And I would close the eyes, and I would visualize both of us dressed maybe in white with yogic clothes and chanting mantras. Okay, let's open the eyes, let's include somebody else. Oh, look at that young woman with a baby in her arms, and she seems a bit stressed. The baby's crying and she's having a tough time. All right. How would she feel if, the baby is now peaceful in her arms and she is doing yoga with us, the two of us, and she starts chanting. Okay, let's chant the three of us. So I would just close my eyes and just start. Apsahai hoa satsada satsadoa hara 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 Apsahai hoa satsada satsadoa hara hara hara. And then you start to see that other persons in the train also want to join in, right? I mean, that's how imagination is powerful. You start seeing the others, and then they are joining you. Well, before you get home, the whole train is chanting. And it can just be something internal, and you may really, really enjoy that. But actually, it can also have a deep effect on the train itself. You will feel it in the atmosphere. It changes. And also some funny things will happen. Like, you see this guy very quiet, very still, almost like sleeping. And then you would be chanting with him, imagining how he sounds. And then he would phone somebody and his voice was exactly the way you imagined it. That freaky things like this can happen, which is quite interesting. I feel that in some level we were chanting together because I was hearing his voice, and then he would open the phone and then, whoa, that's exactly the voice I imagined. So how interesting, no, that we can connect in that way. So that's some other mantra practice that we can do, even within. But as you are chanting, feel that you are vibrating with everyone around you. And you can do that at work. You are working. If you are not writing emails or doing some cognitive work, you can just imagine that we are all having this relationship as well. So that's I hope you enjoy that practice. I hope everyone puts it into practice, and let's see how you feel. You will see how that has an impact. Like the young mother with the baby crying. It may happen that the baby may calm down or not, and maybe it doesn't come. Maybe it calms down. It has nothing to do with you. It doesn't matter. The thing is, you are creating that connection, and you are tuning in that particular way, and that's having an effect. So that's another beautiful way to chant mantras. Let's go for another one. I involved particularly chanting aloud and chanting in silence, and this is all about the voice. Now, we have 5 senses, right? And part of the process of meditation, if we are looking at the Yoga Sutras, is, yamas, niyamas, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi. This is just the 8 steps which tell you that in order to get to the state of one, the same, being the same, samadhi, you have to go through a meditative state, dhyana. For that, you need to concentrate, dharana. And what is making us distracted? Not concentrated. It's our senses. Our senses go away. Our 5 senses. Like the 5 gunas, Nirgun is there in the chat. So, the 5 gunas and the 5 senses perceiving the 5 gunas, this is how we go into the world and how we get lost in the world. So pratyahara is about bringing the senses back inside. So when we are chanting inside, when we are chanting the mantras inside, we are doing pratyahara with the sound and synchronizing inside with the sound, right? But this is not the only sense. We have the sense of touch, and we have the sense of sight, and the sense of taste, and the sense of smell. So all these senses can also be linked in a way. I'm not sure what would it mean, the smell linked to the mantras, even the taste. I mean, there is some taste in the words as you are saying them. That would do something. That would do it nicely as well. As you are saying the word, can you taste it? As you are talking, as you are speaking, can you taste the words that come out of your mouth? As you are saying them, can you swallow your own words? If you're saying something to somebody, does it have an impact on you? And if you develop a practice of letting that has an impact of you, you're going to be much more mindful. I used to curse a lot when I was young, when I was in my teenage years. I don't know why I was doing it, but I think it was just cool, I guess. People were doing it, and this is how we spoke to each other, youngsters. So I would curse a lot. And at some point, during the yogic practice, particularly during doing yoga, I don't know, I just stopped cursing. It's just, I don't want to swallow those words, because the words are like God, right? In the beginning was the word was with God, the word is God. So the words are G-O-D, generating, organizing, and destroying. So if they are generating, organizing, and destroying my life through my words, I'm going to want to know, what am I saying? Because those words are going to be very important. So if I taste them, if I swallow them, these words are going to have an impact, and I'm going to become those words. Just like, if you eat an apple, this is an example that Sadhguru gives, yeah? If you eat an apple, before the apple was outside of you, but then when you eat it, the apple is inside of you. And very soon, the apple is you, right? Because the nutrients that are in the apple, all the vitamins and, carbohydrates and whatever the apple has, the fiber, all that, is going to be part of your own tissue. And your body with that is going to build new muscle cells and bone cells and neurons and all that. So the apple becomes me. So whatever we eat, we become that. That's why, in yoga we pay so much attention to our diet, proper diet, maybe a topic for another day. But in this case, in the case of words, the words that I'm saying, that they are coming out of my mouth, they are having an impact on me. If, in the mantra course, I talk about the vibration and the power of vibration, the power of voice. And there is plenty of studies on this. Masaru Emoto, I'm sure many of you have heard. And there's, crystals in the water, and when you are saying a word, the impact that it has on the water, that frequency, that vibration, how it affects the crystalline structure of the water. Water being amorphous, has no shape, but then as you crystallize it and melt it again, you can see the crystals inside forming. And when you are saying some words, the crystals are different. This is basically the experiment, and you can do it like with like there's this experiment we were talking in the chat. In the comments of one of the videos, somebody was this week telling me they did the experiment with the rice, and you have a little bit of white rice and one bottle, and you put a word on it, a beautiful word and a nasty word, right? You can put peace and love, and you can put hate and anger, right? And then these two pots of rice, you can look at them throughout the days and see how they change. And it's very interesting because I didn't know rice could read, but somehow it works. Don't ask me how. How is it possible that can have an impact? And yet it does. And anybody can do the experiment and you can see it. And the thing is, well, mantras have power. Words have power. And the rice is being, vibrating with that. Now, our physical body is around 70% water. As we grow older, we have less. Yeah, when we are babies, we are maybe 80%. And then, 70, 60, maybe 50. When we are very, very old, we get down to 50, maybe a bit less even. And our brain is 90% water. So every little particle of water in me is feeling the vibration of the words that I'm saying. Water is the element that is associated to taste. That's why I'm connecting it. So can I taste my words as I'm speaking them? Can I taste the mantra as I am chanting it? Can I have the taste of that? I think that can be very powerful as well. So we have 5 senses. We can taste the words. The sense of touch, this is the way. Today I was, at the beginning of this session, we were chanting the Mul Mantra, and I was concentrating more on the vibration. That would be the touch, sensing the touch of the mantra within me as I am chanting it. So you can tune into the vibration and the experience of that vibration within. That's the sense of touch in some way, internalizing that. So I mentioned how we internalize the sound and we vibrate within. We internalize the touch and we feel it within. We even internalize the taste and we taste the words that we are saying. I don't know about the smell. The sense of smell is linked to direction. The nose is direction. There is this quote from sometimes I bring quotes from who knows where. This time is from the Lord of the Rings. If you have watched the movie, Gandalf, the magician, is lost. And he's trying to find his way through some mines. And he has been there before, but he doesn't remember. So he's trying to find his way. And then he's meditating. And at some point, he makes a decision. And he said, well, I don't recall this way, and the air here feels foul. And, he makes the decision, let's go this path. And he turns to one of the hobbits and he says, if in doubt, follow your nose. Which is very, very nice. Well, he has a long nose as well, right? But the nose is the first part of the body, right? So if you're walking very, very small steps next to a wall, the first thing that will touch will be your nose, unless you have very big feet. But generally it would be the nose. So being the first one to touch something, that's linked to number 1. So we can only move in one direction. Even if we are changing direction, we're always moving in one direction. So nose being associated to direction, and having a good sense of smell is also like a good sense of direction. And being able to, in the mountains, knowing which way up, which way to go, right? So with the mantra, with the projection of the mantras could be also this, which direction are you giving to it? I'm just trying to connect to the sense of smell as well, linked to the mantra. But you can also link the smell to the prana in the air, in the breath, as you are breathing. When you are breathing the air, like if you are chanting the mantra internally, I was saying all this example could be internally. When you are breathing in the air, you could just smell it in some way. And that's something that we teach children when they need to, we want to teach them how to do a particular pranayam. How do you teach children with stories and metaphors and things like that? And one classic way to teach them how to breathe is smell the rose, blow the candle, smell the rose, blow the candle, right? So smelling the rose, this kind of breathing goes very deep. And I find it goes deeper inside and deeper towards the third eye. You see, we breathe through the two nostrils. It goes deeper towards the third eye. Maybe someday I will explore more on the swaras, on the swara yoga. There is this nice book from the Yoga Bihar, the Bihar School of Yoga, talking about the different swaras and how we have you can breathe the different gunas. Going back to the gunas. You can breathe in there is an earth kind of breath, there's a watery kind of breath, there's an airy kind of breath, and fiery, and there is an etheric. And I find the etheric version of the breath, that's the most meditative, that's very, very slow, very thin, and it's almost like smelling, like very subtle and etheric in some way. So as we are chanting the mantra within, and as I am breathing while I am repeating the mantra, can I smell the breath? And I can even say, can I smell the prana in the air? Just try it for a moment. Can you smell the prana in the air? It's a little bit intoxicating. In the best sense of the word, yeah. There is this little bit of ecstasy, yeah. When you are breathing in like that, there's something that fills you from within in a different way, in a different place, to a different top that you don't when you are breathing just regular air, right? So I would say this smelling of the air could be an interesting addition to the practice. So I talked about, smelling of the air, tasting the words, feeling the vibration, that's the touch, and listening to the sound within, that's the hearing. But I didn't mention the eyes. So let's talk about the eyes for a moment. And again, if anybody wants to share how you are connecting to this, did you try the breath? Did you try sensing the smell? Write in the chat. I just carry on talking because, if you don't write, I will just carry on talking. But I encourage you to just share. How do you feel smelling the air? And know that there is a delay. There is a delay of 15 to 20 seconds between when you write and when it comes when it appears in my computer, or let's say when I speak and when it reaches your computer. So if you are writing something, then you will know that it takes me a while to respond to that. But let's go into the eyes. Let's talk about the sight. Because the eyes is actually, in some ways, is the most important of the five senses. And I tell you why. It's the most important because where the eyes look, 70% of our attention goes. So and I'm talking about our mind, yeah? Let's see, sometimes when I fast, I can taste something sweet when I inhale the fresh air. Yes. Taste something sweet. Definitely. Yes, it may be connected to the Amrit, yeah? There's Amrit flowing within. When we are in a deep state of meditation, the Amrit starts flowing and there is a sweet taste to that. Particularly if you do it with the tip of the tongue in the upper palate, which is something that I recommend in some videos, right? Keep the tip of the tongue in the upper palate, in the place between the heart and the soft palate. And while you are inhaling, then you will feel that sweet nectar coming down. So that's Amrit, and it's nice to let it drop within, like honey. It's like a little honey, and it's a very joyful and peaceful at the same time, kind of like a paradoxical combination of joyful and peaceful. So the thing with the eyes is that they distract us, because the mind is connected to the eyesight much more than any other sense. Even all the senses go to the brain, but whatever we look, that's stimulating the mind. And whatever we think, that's reflected in the eyes. There is this famous study from neurolinguistic programming, how they were looking at how when people are imagining things, they are looking up towards the left or the right, depending on whether they are recalling something, remembering something, or imagining something. And then, if you are listening inside, or you are feeling the kinesthetic feeling inside, going into emotions and feelings, then you would be looking down. So you can see from the eyes, the position of the eyes of the person, you can tell what they are doing. Are they remembering something that happened? Are they visualizing it, or are they connecting to the emotion and the feeling they had? And you can tell only by the movement of the eyes, because the eyes are connected to the brain. So Nirgun says, I can get the tongue behind the uvula, but I can't find a place to rest the tongue there. Oh, yes. So you are going into Kechari Mudra naturally. I guess it's naturally. Maybe you did, if you're asking the question, is because you didn't have formal training on that, which is a practice that is quite unusual for people to have naturally. Now, if you have a natural tendency to that, you can explore it, definitely, and experiment with that. If you don't, just keep the tongue in the upper palate in this point that I was mentioning, the HSPJ, the heart soft palate junction, yeah? But if you do have that capacity and you want to explore it, and this is something that would be explored in Kriya Yoga particularly, you have no formal training, yeah. So what you can do is, with the tongue back, you feel the emptiness of the throat, and then you go with the tongue up and you start bringing it upwards. There's a point when there is a bone, and you will feel the bone is kind of like that. So it's going forward and then upwards, and you can rest the tip of the tongue in that point, and that's where your tongue is gonna be in direct alignment with your pituitary gland. So you're gonna be stimulating the pituitary gland directly in that way. You see, Nirgun, this practice, one of the ways it was used before the Kechari Mudra was to do the alternate nostril breathing without hands. So you would put the tongue even higher, and you would feel, if you go even higher, depends on how long is your tongue, but particularly if you can do it, that probably your tongue has a tendency to go there. And if you do it and you have the tongue is long enough, you will find there is this bone, and then in front of this area where it goes up, then there's like two holes with a bone in the middle separating, and these holes are the ones that go to the nostrils. So you can actually put the tongue into one hole and breathe through one nostril, and then go close the other hole with the tongue and then breathe through the other. But it's more like a parlor trick, I would say. I don't know. I don't want to be disrespectful. I'm sure this was traditionally taught to utilize it in that particular way, and it would have a particular effect. I don't mean to be disrespectful when I say it's a parlor trick. But unless you have some particular training and some particular teacher who is going to train you in the Kechari Mudra itself, I would say you can just leave it there. Just put it in the bone, contacting in front of the pituitary, and just have an experience. But if you do it like that, one thing is touching, one thing is holding it there. Holding it there, you may feel cramps, and you may feel very tired, and you may want to undo the tongue lock. So you can just leave it resting again in the upper palate. And again, if somebody, most of the people cannot do that. So I would say for most people, just put the tongue in the upper palate and that's fine. So coming back, this would be kind of like a mudra, right? The tongue up. Now, coming back to the eyes, because mudras goes very much in line with the drishti. So, Nirgun, let me know if you have any other question, right? And if you have practiced any kind of yoga before or not, just to know, how much you know on this on these mudras and the tongue. Now, something that goes with the practice, yogic practice, is the drishtis. Now, the drishtis are when they tell you, focus the eyes on the third eye, focus the eyes on the tip of the nose or the chin. It will have different effects. One stimulates the pituitary, another the pineal, other it's like balancing the emotional system. There's a number of effects associated to the different drishtis. But especially, why are we doing the drishtis? Well, drishti is bringing the eyes to a point of focus. Now, when we do that, because the mind is connected to the eyes, if you look at one point and hold the position, this is the foundations of Tratakam. When you look with the eyes to one point and hold the position, in a way, because the mind is linked to the eyes, you are holding the mind still in one point. So by looking at one point and holding it, the mind is being held and the mind is focused. So that's how Tratakam becomes one of the most essential ways to train our mind to be concentrated. It's just, you can just go into a wall, or just you can go into like a wardrobe. It's like wood. You draw one point. You put a piece of paper with one point in the middle, or a little om, or a ikonkar, or the picture of a guru. And just look. If you're going to use a picture of a guru, for example, just choose. Look at the left eye, for example, and just focus on the left eye. Don't look at the whole picture, because then the eyes are moving, right? If you're using a symbol like the ikonkar, just choose one point of the ikonkar and just hold the position there. But holding that can be very powerful. I did that Tratakam practice for around 9 months after I came back and I started doing yoga again. For about nine months, every morning I would do it for, I don't know how long, was it 20 minutes or something like that? And it was really, really helpful at that point when I didn't have any training for meditation, and to start focusing the mind so that I could go into other practices. So I would say Tratakam is a great thing to do, to practice, to bring that concentration. However, I'm gonna bring this aspect of the eyes to the mantras now. So that's one aspect of the eyes. That's helping the mind stay still. Now, if we know that quality of the eyes and we want to bring it into the mantra practice, well, how can we do that? Well, there is one practice of mantra meditation, which is called Darshan Mantra. And it's a wonderful meditation, a wonderful way to meditate. One that I also practice quite a lot. I practice even now regularly. Every now and then I would do it this way. And it's a great way to be concentrated. And darshan is like looking, right? So it's about looking at the mantra, but not at a piece of paper, but visualizing it in your mental screen. So you look at the third eye with the eyes, the physical eyes, and then you are projecting in the screen the words that you want to chant. So let's say you want to chant Waheguru. Okay. So when you close your eyes and you focus on the third eye, and you are projecting, seeing the words Wa. You can separate it in four, for example. Wa, He, Gu, Ru. And then Wa, He, Gu, Ru. So you have to see it. And if you don't see one particular syllable, then you don't go to the next. So you have to stay until you see it clearly. Okay, Now, now again, if you can close your eyes, just try this experiment for a moment. Let's do the Waheguru, and let's for a moment forget about the breath. And let's just project Waheguru, but you're gonna do it in this way. Close your eyes. Let's do it. Close your eyes, if you can. Otherwise, just don't close the eyes if you're driving or something like that. But if you can, then you listen to the exercise and then you do it when you can. But if you can do it now, do it. Just close your eyes and visualize. Focus the eyes in the third eye and visualize there in the screen, on your mental screen, the syllable Wa. See it very clearly, W and the A. And now take that syllable, that image of Wa, and start projecting it forward, 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 forward. Imagine that it becomes smaller as it goes far away, forward, 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 towards the horizon, and longer, longer, longer towards infinity in front of you. Okay, sorry, Wa. And you feel like you are chanting it inside, Wa. You can even chant it outside if you want, but I would suggest let's just do this silently for a moment. Wa. And then you project it forward, forward, forward towards the horizon, towards infinity. But don't start projecting until you see it, okay? You have to see it first. He, H and E. He. As you see it, start projecting it forward, 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 like a beam, like a ray of light, like a laser, forward until infinity. Gu, G-U, Gu. Third eye, start projecting, 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 projecting. Don't lose the shape. Don't lose the symbol. Keep seeing it. Even if it becomes very, very small, keep seeing it until it's so far away and it doesn't stop. Infinity. Okay, Ru. Let's go back. Are you? Ru. See it, and when you see it, start projecting, 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 forward, forward, forward. Guru. Okay, we'll do it again, but a bit faster now. Hopefully you can see the rhythm that I guide. Normally you would do it at your own rhythm. I will guide the rhythm, but you would have to wait until you surely see the symbol in your head. Okay, if you don't see it, don't go to the next sound. So let's start. Wa, project, He, Gu, Ru. Okay, now we're going to do the same, but you're going to project the sound behind you. So Wa, and imagine behind, going backwards, 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 backwards towards infinity. He, Gu, Ru. It's a weird feeling, eh? Because generally we are not aware of what's behind us. Even our own aura may be weak in our backs. So this is a great way to strengthen the aura as well. Okay, again, Wa, and now project it left, on our left side towards infinity. Wa, He, Gu, Ru. Okay, you know what comes next? To the right. Wa. See it clearly, huh? And project. He, towards the infinite on the right. Gu, Ru. Okay, again, but now going upwards towards the heavens. Wa. Going up, 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 up towards the sky and beyond, towards the infinite. He, Gu, Ru. And now below us, towards the infinite. Wa, he, gu, ru. Okay, keep the eyes closed. Now, you have projected rays of light with vibration of the mantra, forward, backwards, left and right, up and down. Now imagine and see the lines that they have drawn. They are still there. See, like a laser light in front of you, behind you, to the left, to the right, up and down. And try to see them all at once. Don't go only with one. You are in the middle of all these lines going in all the directions, the 6 directions. And somehow they are stretching you in all directions. And now in all directions vibrate at the same time. Okay, wa, and you project it forward, backward, in all directions at the same time. Wa. He. Gu. Ru. Wa. He. Gu. Ru. One more time. Wa. He. See it clearly. Gu. Ru. Now inhale deep. Hold the breath. And project in all directions light, a beam of light. And exhale and relax. Cover your eyes before opening them. And slowly open them as you look at your hands, so that the first thing you see are your hands, and slowly lower them, because it may be difficult to come back after going so far away. So come back here. How was your experience? I would love for you to write in the chat. And if you're listening and looking at this video when it's recorded, after it's already been recorded, write in the comments of the YouTube channel, how was it for you, this little meditation? It's a meditation, and could you feel yourself expanding? How did you feel with that imagination, using the sight, using the eyes, and create that projection? I'm seeing a message from before, from Nirgan. Thank you so much. Unfortunately, I never had any kind of training in yoga, just my own way of meditating, being still. And I found out about Khechari Mudri a year ago and have made some progress. Why do? Okay. I suggest find a teacher. Yeah. Yoga, it's very important to have some guidance. And, well, there's so much we can do by ourselves. But we need guidance in some things, and somebody who's going to also confront our ego when we are doing things in our own way, which is not particularly healthy, and we don't realize, because we don't see our own blind spots. We all have our own blind spots, so it's always necessary to have a teacher. You feel very grounded. It was a bit difficult to focus on expanding to the sides. Okay, great. Okay, excellent. So you detect where are your challenges and explore those consciously, all right? Because our aura should be like a bubble expanding in all directions. So if you have one point that is harder, just keep exploring that and keep focusing it. And after you do the 6 directions, you can start feel like a bubble and expand the whole bubble. Maybe another day we will do the sun conscious meditation, the consciousness of the sun, like an expanding bubble. We will do that some other day, but it's connected to this aspect of expanding. Where can you find a teacher? Well, First of all, just check in your area, wherever you live. Nowadays, yoga is everywhere in the world. I remember when I was very little, you would say yoga and they said yogurt. Do you do yogurt at home? How do you do the yogurt? Do you have bacteria? Oh no, yoga. Back in the day, that was when I was really little. There was still a lot of people who didn't know about this, but nowadays, who hasn't heard about yoga or who hasn't tried it? So I don't know, Nirgun, where you live, but you can tell me where you live if you want. I can, if I know some class, I can give you a reference. But there's classes anywhere. Just explore a little bit, and you will feel it in your heart. You will feel the call. Also, right now there is a lot of YouTube channels, and you can find lots of, how to practice. But I would recommend to have a personal teacher that you can relate to one-on-one, that you can talk about your personal things. I was very easy to focus forward, and now where I felt the back of my brain being kind of pulled while projecting forwards. Yeah, that's one of the most weird ones. And that's stimulating a point that is very important. This point in the back of the head. It's sometimes called witch's eye, the eye of the witches. This is, you can sometimes, I don't want to go too deep into this, but if you want to stimulate your vision from the third eye, you can go back here and look from here. And that's going to bring a vision that is different. You're going to see different things. But yeah, so looking backwards and going really far away, that's really weird for us. And that's also creating that expansion. You live in Hamburg? Well, there is, I know for sure there is Kundalini Yoga classes there. So I don't know, but you don't know if you want to do Kundalini Yoga or not. Kechari is definitely not in the tradition of Kundalini Yoga, but in Kundalini Yoga we do put the tip of the tongue in the upper palate, particularly during some meditations. I don't know about a teacher who can teach you about that. If you want to learn more about Kechari Mudra, I think it can be quite fascinating. There is this thing they say that traditionally you will have to cut the tongue to do it, right? But if you had already cut it in another life, because you were already a Kriya Yogi in another life, then as you reincarnate in this one, it's natural to you and you can do it without cutting the frenulum. So, if you hear this and you say, oh, well, I can do it naturally. Well, maybe I was a Kriya Yogi in another life, so I would like to explore that. So why not start there? Do some research, do some Google, and from your heart, just see there's so many offers, so many possibilities nowadays when you Google something, and just see what calls you. I practice Kundalini Yoga. It's yoga that I feel it's very safe for the householder. You are here in the planet, and you are not trying to go into a cave. Because Kechari Mudra can really bring you into a feeling of you want to go into a cave. In a way, what you are doing with the tongue, you are putting it into a cave. I would love to explore Kechari as much as possible, you mentioned. Well, that's what I'm saying. Putting the tongue up there, it's very much like I think I watched all the videos on it on YouTube. Yeah, I know. I've watched many of those as well. So when you put the tongue into a cave, that's kind of a part of you going into a cave. So that's why I'm saying it. Practicing Kechari Mudra can make you want to be an ascetic and to go into the Himalayas. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if it's your destiny in your soul and your life to do that, then why you do? But if you feel a call to be in a family, have a work, have some job, and be in life, then Kechari Mudra may be a bit distracting from that. So just practice caution with that, in the sense that because it's so going upwards into the spiritual realm that a part of you may want to leave the material plane. But we are here in this planet for something, and we are in the material body. So I would say, and even, living in Hamburg, that's, stay in the planet, no? So you can explore it, but then I would suggest that you later bring your consciousness to what am I getting back? After I go back there, whatever I am receiving, how am I getting something back out of that? So you have a few tips already from what I mentioned, and maybe you want to explore that, but feel free to keep talking about it and asking questions here on my or in the comments in the videos later on. So we have explored this projection of the sound forward and far away. This is like darshan, but there is one other way I could share on how to utilize the sight to meditate with a mantra. And that would be, you could utilize a longer mantra, like the Mul mantra, like this one, like the one we were chanting at the beginning. And the idea would be that you are projecting here the words and you don't go into the next word until you have seen the first one. So you say ek and you have to visualize ek. Now, if you know how it's written in Gurumukhi, you can see it in Gurumukhi, otherwise you can just see it written like this. So you visualize in your head ek. And then you stop until you see ek, and then you move on to ong. And then you see kar. And then you see sat, and then you nam or sat nam. It can be separated or together. But until you see it clearly, you don't move on to the next. Now, it will happen that some of them come very quick and some of them just don't come. And you may be there, nirva, 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 my goodness, it doesn't come. And you're waiting and waiting and waiting, and you have to be super disciplined because the mind wants to do something else. This is where the distractions coming. The mind will want to do something else. But you know you want to see this one, so you have to stay there and see it. So that's a way to meditate. Now, this practice is super powerful if you do it with the breath. Because with the breath, there's no escape. What do I mean with the breath? Let's start with a shorter mantra, because the Mul mantra is very long. But let's say that you are doing, let's take the Waheguru. Let's just explain how it is, okay? So I start inhaling. And as I start inhaling, I visualize Wa, He, Gu, and Ru. And until I don't see Wa, He, Gu, and Ru, I don't stop the breath. So I am inhaling all the way until Waheguru has been completely visualized. And you could say Om Namah Shivaya, or you could say any mantra, right? But I'm just giving an example with Waheguru, then we can export it to some other. So all throughout the inhalation, you are seeing every syllable. And then when you get to the last one, and now you hold the breath, and you repeat again, Wa, you see it in your mental screen, He, Gu, and then Ru. Now when you have seen Waheguru, then you start exhaling, and exhaling Wa, and you're exhaling all the way, He, all the way, Gu, all the way, Ru, until you finish the Ru. You don't finish exhaling. So even if you have any more breath, you have to carry on exhaling. And then when you have no breath, then holding it and see Wa, He, Gu, Ru. What exactly do I mean by seeing it clearly? Is it the letters or the meaning behind them? No, the letters. So you would visualize, you would see this, yeah? You would see ek in your mental screen. You can imagine it, yeah? You imagine it. Now, the brain sometimes produces the images, but then sometimes you lose them. It doesn't want to do it anymore. But because we are breathing, and you're not going to stop the breath until you have done all the letters, then that is going to hold the attention. And you have to be very disciplined, because the ego is going to want to escape. You have to tell the ego, no. Until I finish seeing Waheguru, I'm not going to start exhaling. And then you're going to stop there, and I need to exhale, but I don't see the Ru. And you're going to, you may get stressed, but if you hold it, you're in a way practicing discipline. You're telling the ego, no, I'm not going to cater to you. I'm not going to be, a little bit tricky and, just take a shortcut or anything. No, I'm going to see every syllable. And until I don't see Waheguru, I'm not going to start exhaling. At some point, because you need the breath, the ego is going to shut up. And you're going to see exactly what you're wanting to see. And then you're exhaling. You already need to inhale, maybe. But until you see the last one, you're not going to start stopping and then you're going to start inhaling. So you're going to go to the rhythm of the breath linked to the imagination. And that's a really powerful way to develop concentration. The mantra establishing in you is a pranayama, because you are breathing consciously and you are practicing probably going into 1 minute breath. Now, the breath, we generally breathe around 15 to 20 times per minute. Anything that goes below that, you're going to get much more clear and softer and more meditative and more peaceful. It is said you cannot be angry and breathe 4 times per minute. So as you're lowering your breath, your emotions calm down, your mind focuses, and there's all sorts of benefits happening at the same time. So imagining, as you're inhaling, wa he guru, as you're holding, wa he guru, as you're exhaling, wa he guru, as you're holding without breath, wa he guru. If you are pregnant, don't do the holding. Okay, if any ladies listening to this pregnant, don't do any holding. You just be inhaling and exhaling. And if you are pregnant, this is not the time to feel any kind of stress. So if you feel anxiety for the breath, don't just breathe naturally. Okay, just breathe. It's not good for the baby to be feeling the anxiety because of the breath. Just I wanted to say that. But now, if Waheguru, when you establish Waheguru and it's relatively easy, then try something like this. Well, this is much longer. You can try something shorter. But when you can do a full Mul mantra inhaling, a full Mul mantra visualizing every sound, every word, visualizing it in your head, holding, Mul mantra exhale, Mul mantra without breath, and you can do 11 repetitions of this. This is going to be really powerful. Then you let me know. Then come back here and write in the comments how did it feel. Because it's a really powerful meditation. It's called Darshan mantra. And particularly I'm doing a combination of things, because there's Darshan mantra, visualization of the mantra. There is Samavriti pranayama, because we are inhaling the same time that we are holding and exhaling and without air. This is Samavriti, same movement. It's like, or also sometimes called the square breathing. And what else? It's a pranayama. Oh, sorry. All right. Well, it's a lot of things. You're doing a pranayama, you're doing a meditation, you're doing concentration, you're doing pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, samadhi, all the last steps of the Yoga Sutras. So it's so very beneficial. So I hope it was useful. And so let me just review. If anybody wants to ask any question, you can ask. Let me just review. Today we it's been 2 hours already, so I think it's a good time. We will be closing very soon. But let me just review. We were talking for 2 hours on different ways of meditation with mantra. And I went into a lot of detail on how you can use mantra in a simple recitation way with no particular rhythm and just feeling the vibration of it. You can go into a particular rhythm and establish a pattern that can hypnotize the mind. We can chant it in a melodious way with a melody, and you can use a melody that is well known and is powerful and it will have a clear effect on you, or you can make up your own melody and get the creative aspect of yourself, express your creative side. You can chant it inside in silence and therefore vibrate it through the breath. That's a good way to do it, inhaling and exhaling, vibrating it through the breath. And this is a practice that you can do all throughout the day. You don't have to be, at home or in the car where you can chant freely. You can be at work and you can be chanting the mantra. You can chant inside, in silence, and then relate to the people around you and imagine they are chanting with you, creating a sort of imaginative kirtan. And you can, what else? What else did I say? Oh, you can bring the senses inward. So chanting inside, that's the bringing the voice in, that's the sound, that's the hearing inside. The feeling the vibration inside, that's bringing the touch. I mentioned how you can inhale and breathe in and feel the smell of the prana in your breath as you're inhaling, as you are chanting the mantra, smelling the prana in the air. And you can taste the words as they are coming out or as they are being recited, especially as you are speaking them out. And finally, with the eyes, I mentioned how you can imagine, visualize the sounds and then project them. Project them, or just visualize them, or visualize them and project them in the directions. And then finally link that to the breath, doing some sort of Tratakam, Darshan visualization with the pranayama, and a combination of things. It's going to be a very, very complete practice. Well, that's kind of the summary of, but I go into much detail. If you just connected now, you are catching the end. Yeah, if you want, the whole recording is going to be in the channel, and you can watch the whole recording of the satsang. And I hope to catch all of you soon again. I appreciate that you are here. You could be anywhere in the world. You can be watching any YouTube any channel, any video, anything in the possibilities are so many there. There is so much options, and you are here with me. I appreciate that, and I hope to see you again. And if this is not the first time, maybe consider subscribing if you haven't subscribed. And I will come back. I'm not sure whether tomorrow I will come back. Probably I will come back next week. Next week will be in the morning. Thank you, GIY, for being here all the time. I think you were the whole time. And thank you for your presence, even though you don't say much, but you are present and I can feel you. I know not everybody can write. Maybe you are doing other things and you cannot write in the chat, but I appreciate that you are here. Thank you, Amita, as well, for coming back from your work. And Nirgon, thank you once more. I hope I wasn't too bothersome with my questions. Namaste. Not at all. Nirgon, this is why I do it. Okay, I appreciate that you are relating to me and you putting questions. That helps me to know where we are going with the conversation. Otherwise, it's like a big monologue. And I know my voice. I heard it many times. This is about conversation. So yes, please write. Fernando Gomez. Oh, thank you. I've seen your comments. You came late. You will watch it later. No problem. But I appreciate you being here. And I know this is with the time zones is not always easy for everyone. But you arrived and we saw each other. Next time, maybe you are online, you can also write comments as we are doing it. And so, thank you very, very much. And until next time, Satnam.